Police are cracking down on a Palestinian terrorist group that has been operating in Britain and attempting to destroy Britain's key military infrastructure in terms of research and development and indeed its procurement of weapons. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Well, if you live long enough, you get to see everything at least once. It appears that the police are taking genuine action on Palestinian terrorists. 10 people have already been arrested over their attacks on Elbit Systems in Filton in Bristol. It's a company that has links to Israel, but also is a major supplier of the United Kingdom with weapons systems. These people have been attempting to disrupt the supply of military equipment to both Israel and to the United Kingdom. But more importantly, they are people who are linked to Hamas and the major terrorist organisations of the world through their organisation, Palestinian Action. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the UK at the moment. As you know, there's been uncontrolled immigration, and we now have a large body of people who support Islamic terrorism around the world, and they are backed by, obviously, and led by the Palestinian regime. For years, the United Kingdom has been a home and a safe haven for terrorists. And the reason is, as laid out in the book Londonistan, it's about the idea that MI5 had a deal with Islamic fascists that if they lived in the UK and were able to preach in the UK and able to recruit their terrorists in the UK, then the UK, but didn't bomb the UK, then the UK would be nice to them. I find that morally reprehensible. We have a go at the French all the time, but remember the Algerian terrorists who were blowing up Paris were domiciled and organising themselves in the United Kingdom. Think about what happened with Abu Hamza. Remember him with the hooks? He was preaching at the Finsbury Park Mosque, and when he was thrown out of the Finsbury Park Mosque for preaching terrorism, he was able to continue preaching because the British police shut the streets outside the Finsbury Park Mosque. So offended were they that he was not able to continue to spread his bile and hate in the mosque itself. I wonder, if you were to attempt to make a speech about uncontrolled immigration, if you attempt to make a speech about Christianity, I wonder if they would shut the street outside Westminster Abbey for you to continue to preach, even if the Abbey itself didn't want you there. Something to ponder and think about. Well, we've seen a remarkable level of hypocrisy, haven't we, in the whole counter-terrorism operation. I have to say to you that this whole story about national action and indeed the Friar Penketh pub, which is the Wetherspoons in the centre of Warrington, I remain to be convinced by. I think it is deeply distasteful to sit in a pub getting shit-faced, talking about how you would like to kill politicians, and then posing with photos of yourself with knives in your house. I think that is distasteful. But does it really make you a credible terror cell? On the one hand, you have that. And then on the other hand, you have people who download the Al-Qaeda training manual, go out knifing people in the streets, and then go into the police station when they're arrested and say, I'm doing it because I'm an Al-Qaeda terrorist. And the counter-terrorism police say, no, this is an issue of mental health. What does it take to become an Islamic terrorist in this country? By the way, it's easy to become a far-right terrorist. All you do is buy some cheap swill at Wetherspoons and start gobbing off about how much you don't like Keir Starmer. That is the way you do it in that case. So I think there is a remarkable hypocrisy. But why are Palestinian Action, this group that the police are cracking down on, so dangerous now? Well, let's be honest about Matt Twist. And there's not a great deal that's honest about him. He's the head of the Met in charge of these protests that are going on, assisting the protests in reality. Let's go back, not this year, but to the year before, to Remembrance Sunday. Now remember, on Remembrance Sunday, the Islamists, the Hamas supporters and Palestinian Action said that they were going to disrupt the cenotaph and they were going to bring Remembrance Sunday to a halt. They also said that they were going to rip down and burn the Union flag from the cenotaph, at which point the police, admittedly it was the MOD police, not the Met, said that the solution to this was to take down the flags so as not to provoke anyone. take down our national flag and our national war memorial, was the advice from the police. Well, Tommy Robinson and his chums decided that they were going to have what I would refer to as a legitimate irregular call-up. That is to say that the police and army have accepted that they aren't numerate enough to protect Britain's critical infrastructure. Therefore, volunteers will come up and do it instead. That is a legitimate thing, which has happened at various points in our history. Anyway, on to Matt Twist. Matt Twist publicly stated that there had been no examples of any wrongdoing on the Palestinian protest. There'd been no examples of anti-Semitism. There'd been no examples of anti-Semitic violence. The post, which was an official statement by the Metropolitan Police, was labelled as fake news by social media outlets right across the world. Unbelievable, an official statement by the police. So Matt Twist came back and he said, well, actually, there were examples of violence, there were examples of racism and anti-Semitism, but it also proves that the protest is anti-Semitic and therefore incredibly dangerous. And so what you do, very simply, is that you accept that on that one occasion you had to move the person on for their own protection, but in future, the protests should not take place. Now, I've no doubt that the police will make a desperate effort to keep Palestinian Action out of trouble. No media really has covered this story, but it is an important story nonetheless. But I'll tell you this, we have to stop having one rule for us and one rule for somebody else. This two-tier policing has to end. So I congratulate the counter-terrorism police for taking some action for once, but I think there needs to be a lot more of it. Until next time, goodbye.